Blood sugar control has been misunderstood for years, and today we are opening a door that most people never even realize exists because the truth is this: you do not have to give up all carbs to lower your blood sugar. And the belief that carbs are the main enemy has quietly pushed millions of people toward fear, confusion, and diets that do not last. In this video, we are breaking that myth apart piece by piece using real science, real physiology, and real strategies that work in everyday life. You will learn why blood sugar rises in the first place, why cutting carbs alone often fails, and how the body actually handles glucose when the right conditions are created. There is a deeper story behind blood sugar spikes, one that goes far beyond bread, rice, or fruit, and it starts with how cells respond to insulin, how meals are structured, and how small daily habits quietly shape your glucose levels hour by hour. Many people are shocked to learn that two meals with the same amount of carbs can produce completely different blood sugar responses, and the difference is not willpower, genetics, or luck. It is strategy. In this episode, you will discover lesser-known methods that doctors rarely explain in detail, methods that allow carbs to exist in your diet without driving blood sugar out of control. We will talk about timing, food order, hidden metabolic switches, and simple actions that change how glucose moves through the body. These are not extreme tricks or internet shortcuts. They are science-backed approaches rooted in how muscles, the liver, and insulin actually work together. Some of these ideas feel almost too simple, which is exactly why they are overlooked, yet research continues to confirm their impact. As this video unfolds, each concept will build on the last, revealing why focusing only on carb reduction often misses the real problem and sometimes makes blood sugar control harder over time. By the end, you will see carbs in a completely different light, not as a threat, but as a tool that can be managed intelligently. Stay with this video until the end, because the final insights tie everything together and show how small changes can protect blood sugar without turning food into an enemy. This is the final part of the Diabetes Code Clinic series, and it brings together the most practical lessons that people can actually follow in real life, without fear, guilt, or extreme restriction. Welcome to our channel, a place where health is explained clearly and honestly, and if you value simple science-based guidance that helps you take control of your body, make sure to subscribe now so you do not miss what comes next. Blood sugar problems begin with a very simple process that most people never fully see. When we eat carbohydrates, the body breaks them down into glucose. That glucose enters the bloodstream and becomes fuel. This is normal. This is how the human body has worked for thousands of years. The problem starts when glucose rises too fast or stays high for too long. That is when the system becomes stressed. Many people are told that the only solution is to remove carbs completely, but this idea ignores how the body actually functions. Glucose itself is not harmful. The speed and volume of glucose entering the blood is what creates trouble. When blood sugar rises quickly, insulin is released in larger amounts. Over time, cells stop responding well to insulin. This is where instability begins. Cutting carbs may lower glucose temporarily, but it does not fix how the body handles sugar. That is why many people struggle even when they eat very little. Managing blood sugar is not about starving the body. It is about guiding glucose into the bloodstream slowly and predictably. When this happens, insulin works calmly instead of aggressively, and blood sugar becomes easier to control. This approach focuses on intelligence, not restriction. It allows the body to work with food instead of fighting against it. One of the most powerful ways to control blood sugar without cutting carbs is choosing better types of carbohydrates. Not all carbs behave the same once they enter the body. Some break down very fast and cause sharp spikes. Others digest slowly and release glucose over time. The slower ones are usually rich in fiber. Fiber changes everything. It slows digestion. It forms a physical barrier in the gut. It delays how fast sugar reaches the bloodstream. Foods like beans, lentils, vegetables, and whole grains contain natural fiber that forces glucose to move at a controlled pace. This means the body does not need to release large amounts of insulin all at once. Blood sugar rises gently instead of sharply. Fiber also feeds beneficial gut bacteria, which further improves how the body processes glucose. This is why people can eat the same amount of carbs but experience very different blood sugar responses. The difference is fiber. Highly refined carbs lack this protection. They rush into the bloodstream with nothing to slow them down. Choosing fiber-rich carbs is not about eating less food. It is about eating smarter food. There is another detail that most people never hear, and it may be even more important than the type of carb itself. The order in which food is eaten can change blood sugar dramatically. When protein and fat are eaten before carbohydrates, digestion slows down. Protein triggers hormones that reduce appetite and slow stomach emptying. Fat does the same. When carbs enter the system after protein and fat, glucose absorption becomes smoother, blood sugar rises more slowly, insulin response becomes smaller and more controlled. This is not a trick. It is basic physiology. The stomach empties food in stages, and what goes in first shapes what comes next. Eating carbs alone is very different from eating carbs as part of a structured meal. The body responds to patterns, not just ingredients. This is why meals that include protein, healthy fats, and fiber-rich carbs tend to create stability instead of spikes. This idea leads directly into a simple but powerful strategy that quietly protects blood sugar without removing carbs. It is often called the plate shield approach. The concept is straightforward, yet its effect is profound. Half of the plate is filled with non-starchy vegetables. These vegetables are low in digestible carbs and high in fiber and water. They create volume without creating glucose overload. When eaten first, they physically slow digestion. They line the digestive tract. They reduce how fast glucose can move into the bloodstream. This acts like a shield. The vegetables do not block carbs completely. They regulate their impact. When carbs are eaten after vegetables, the blood sugar response becomes softer and more predictable. This is not about portion control through hunger. It is about using natural structure to guide digestion. Non-starchy vegetables play another role that is often ignored. They stimulate chewing. They increase saliva production. This sends signals to the brain that food is coming in a balanced way. The nervous system responds by preparing insulin in advance instead of reacting late. This early insulin response is crucial. When insulin is ready before glucose floods the bloodstream, blood sugar stays lower. This process happens automatically when meals are balanced. When meals are carb-heavy and low in fiber, the body is caught off guard. Insulin arrives late. Blood sugar rises higher than it should. The plate shield approach reduces this delay and restores rhythm to digestion. Smarter eating also means understanding that fullness and blood sugar are connected but not identical. Many people eat large amounts of refined carbs because they do not feel full quickly. Fiber-rich foods create fullness with fewer glucose consequences. This reduces overeating without effort. When the body feels satisfied, stress hormones drop. Stress hormones raise blood sugar. This is another hidden layer. Eating in a way that stabilizes hunger also stabilizes glucose. This is why extreme carb restriction often backfires. Hunger increases stress. Stress raises blood sugar. The cycle continues. Smarter eating breaks this loop by feeding the body what it needs without overwhelming it. Another overlooked detail is consistency. The body adapts to patterns. When meals follow a similar structure each day, blood sugar becomes easier to predict. This does not mean eating the same food every day. It means keeping the same logic: vegetables first, protein and fat included, carbs chosen wisely. This predictability allows insulin sensitivity to improve. Cells respond better when signals are calm and steady. Random eating patterns create random blood sugar results. Structure creates control. Carbs themselves are not dangerous when they are part of a balanced system. The fear around carbs often leads people to avoid fruits, legumes, and whole grains that actually support blood sugar control. These foods come packaged with fiber, minerals, and protective compounds. Removing them can reduce nutrient intake and worsen insulin resistance over time. Smarter eating allows carbs to exist in their natural form. It respects the way the human body evolved to process food. This approach also changes how people think about meals. Instead of asking how little can be eaten, the question becomes how food can be arranged. This shift removes guilt and replaces it with strategy. Blood sugar becomes something that can be guided rather than feared. Each meal becomes an opportunity to support balance instead of triggering chaos. The body responds quickly to these changes. Many people notice improvements not because they eat less, but because they eat in a smarter order. When fiber-rich foods and vegetables dominate the plate, something else happens quietly. The liver receives glucose at a manageable pace. The muscles absorb glucose more efficiently. The pancreas does not need to work overtime. This protects long-term metabolic health. The goal is not to force blood sugar down. The goal is to create conditions where it stays stable on its own. This is the foundation of lasting control. Smarter eating respects biology. It uses natural barriers instead of extreme rules. It allows carbohydrates to exist without turning meals into a threat. This approach builds a system where glucose flows steadily, insulin works calmly, and energy remains stable. Each of these strategies works together, not as isolated tricks, but as parts of one coordinated process that turns food into an ally instead of an enemy. The timing and sequence of food inside a meal can quietly decide how high blood sugar will rise, even when the same foods are eaten. This is one of the least discussed parts of blood sugar control, yet it is one of the most powerful. When carbohydrates are eaten first, especially on an empty stomach, glucose enters the bloodstream quickly. The body reacts by pushing insulin hard and fast. This sudden response creates sharp spikes and drops. Over time, this pattern trains the body to struggle with glucose. When protein and fat are eaten first, the story changes completely. Protein slows stomach emptying. Fat slows digestion even more. Together, they create a natural delay. When carbs arrive later, glucose enters the bloodstream slowly instead of rushing in. The pancreas does not panic. Insulin is released calmly. Blood sugar rises gently and stays more stable. This is not about removing carbs. It is about placing them where they cause the least harm. Food sequence also affects hormones beyond insulin. Protein triggers hormones that signal fullness and control appetite. These hormones reduce overeating later in the meal. Fat increases satisfaction and keeps hunger quiet for longer. When carbs come last, they are absorbed into a system that is already prepared. The digestive tract is active. Enzymes are released at a steady pace. Glucose transporters are ready. This preparation matters. Without it, the body reacts instead of responding. Over time, consistent food sequencing trains the body to expect glucose in a controlled way. This improves insulin sensitivity and reduces unpredictable spikes. Meal timing throughout the day adds another layer. The body has an internal clock that controls how well insulin works. During daylight hours, insulin sensitivity is higher. At night, it drops. Eating at random times confuses this system. Blood sugar becomes harder to manage. Consistent meal times create rhythm. When meals occur at similar times each day, the body prepares insulin in advance. This anticipation reduces glucose spikes. Skipping meals and then eating large portions later often leads to higher blood sugar, not lower. Regular timing keeps glucose handling predictable. Eating carbs later in the day does not automatically cause problems, but large carb-heavy meals late at night can extend high blood sugar into sleep hours. During sleep, muscles are inactive. Glucose clearance slows down. This can lead to elevated morning readings. Keeping meals balanced and not overly heavy in the evening helps avoid this pattern. Again, this is not about hunger, it is about alignment with biology. Adding acidic foods introduces another quiet but powerful effect. Vinegar, lemon juice, and other mild acids slow the breakdown of starch into glucose. This happens in the digestive tract. Acid reduces the activity of enzymes that convert starch into sugar. As a result, glucose enters the bloodstream more slowly. Blood sugar rises gently instead of sharply. Even small amounts of acid can make a noticeable difference. This effect is stronger when acid is consumed with or before carb-rich foods. Acidic foods also slow stomach emptying. This adds another layer of control. When food stays in the stomach longer, glucose absorption spreads out over time. The pancreas does not need to release insulin all at once. This reduces stress on the system. Acid does not block carbs. It changes their speed. The speed control is what matters most for blood sugar stability. The use of acidic foods has been part of traditional eating patterns for centuries. Fermented foods, pickled vegetables, and citrus-based dressings were often paired with starchy meals. These combinations were not accidental. They created balance. Modern diets removed many of these elements and replaced them with refined carbs eaten alone. The result is faster glucose absorption and higher spikes. Another powerful but often overlooked strategy involves resistant starch. Resistant starch behaves differently from regular starch. It resists digestion in the small intestine. Instead of breaking down into glucose quickly, it moves into the large intestine where it feeds beneficial bacteria. This means less immediate glucose enters the bloodstream. Blood sugar rises more slowly and to a lower level. Cooling cooked starches like rice or potatoes increases their resistant starch content. When these foods are cooked and then cooled, their molecular structure changes. Some of the starch becomes resistant, even when reheated. Much of this resistance remains. This simple preparation method can reduce blood sugar impact without changing portion size. It does not remove carbs. It changes how the body processes them. Resistant starch also improves insulin sensitivity over time. The bacteria that feed on resistant starch produce compounds that improve glucose metabolism. This creates a long-term benefit beyond a single meal. Including resistant starch regularly helps the body handle carbs more efficiently. This is another example of smarter eating rather than restriction. When food timing, acid addition, and resistant starch work together, the effect compounds. Carbs eaten later in the meal, paired with protein and fat, slowed by fiber and acid, and structured to contain resistant starch, behave very differently from the same carbs eaten alone. Blood sugar becomes steadier, energy levels improve, cravings reduce. This happens without reducing food enjoyment. The body prefers gradual input. Sudden surges create stress responses. These strategies align food intake with how the body evolved to function. They respect digestion, hormones, and metabolism. They do not rely on willpower, they rely on structure. Over time, these habits reshape the metabolic environment. cells become more responsive to insulin. The liver releases less glucose between meals, muscles absorb glucose more efficiently. Blood sugar becomes easier to manage without constant effort. This is not a temporary fix. It is a shift in how food interacts with the body. Consistency matters more than perfection. Using these strategies most of the time creates stability. Occasional deviations do not break the system. The body adapts to the dominant pattern. This removes fear around food. Carbs no longer feel dangerous. They become manageable. Food timing, acid inclusion, and resistant starch are not separate tricks. They are parts of a single approach that slows glucose entry, reduces insulin demand, and protects long-term metabolic health. Each meal becomes a controlled event rather than a gamble. This approach builds confidence. It replaces restriction with understanding. It allows the body to work efficiently instead of being pushed to extremes. When people focus only on what to remove from their diet, they miss these powerful adjustments. When focus shifts to how food is eaten, blood sugar control becomes achievable without deprivation. These strategies work quietly in the background, shaping glucose response without drawing attention. They are sustainable because they fit into normal life. Smarter eating is not about discipline. It is about designing meals that respect digestion, timing, and structure leads to natural balance. Blood sugar follows that balance automatically. This is how control is built without cutting carbs, without starvation, and without constant struggle. Movement after eating plays a powerful role in controlling blood sugar, yet it is one of the most underestimated habits. When food is eaten, glucose enters the bloodstream. This glucose needs somewhere to go. Muscles are one of the largest storage sites for glucose in the body. When muscles move, they pull glucose out of the blood and use it as fuel. This process does not even require much insulin. A simple walk activates muscle cells and opens pathways that allow glucose to enter directly. This means blood sugar drops faster and stays lower after meals. Sitting still after eating allows glucose to linger in the bloodstream. The body has fewer places to send it. Insulin must work harder. Over time, this creates higher spikes and longer periods of elevated sugar. Walking after meals does not need to be intense. Slow to moderate movement is enough. A walk lasting 10 to 30 minutes can significantly reduce post-meal blood sugar. The timing matters more than the intensity. Walking soon after eating captures glucose as it rises. Muscles act like sponges during this window. They absorb glucose efficiently and reduce the peak. This is why post-meal movement is often more effective than exercising at random times. The body uses the glucose that just entered the blood instead of storing it as fat or leaving it circulating. This effect becomes stronger when walking is done consistently. The body adapts to regular movement by improving insulin sensitivity. Muscles become better at absorbing glucose even when resting. Over time, this lowers baseline blood sugar levels. Walking after meals also improves digestion. Blood flow increases. The nervous system shifts toward balance. Stress hormones decrease. Since stress hormones raise blood sugar, this calming effect further supports control. Another hidden benefit of post-meal walking is appetite regulation. Movement helps signal fullness to the brain. This reduces the desire to snack later. Fewer snacks mean fewer glucose spikes. This creates a natural rhythm of eating and moving that stabilizes blood sugar throughout the day. The opposite pattern creates problems. Eating and then sitting for hours allows glucose to accumulate. This is especially harmful in the evening. Late meals combined with inactivity are a major reason for high nighttime blood sugar. At night, the body becomes less sensitive to insulin. Muscles are inactive. Glucose clearance slows down. Heavy late meals overwhelm this system. blood sugar remains elevated for hours. This can disrupt sleep and lead to high morning readings. Avoiding heavy late meals does not mean skipping dinner. It means adjusting portion size and composition. A lighter dinner places less demand on insulin during a time when the body is least prepared to handle glucose. Eating earlier allows digestion to complete before sleep. This gives the body time to clear glucose from the bloodstream. When dinner is lighter and earlier, overnight blood sugar tends to remain more stable. Late eating also interferes with the body's internal clock. The liver releases glucose at night as part of a natural rhythm. Adding a large meal on top of this release creates excess sugar. The pancreas must work harder. Over time, this pattern contributes to insulin resistance. Shifting calories earlier in the day aligns food intake with natural insulin sensitivity. The quality of the evening meal matters as much as the timing. Meals high in refined carbs late at night create rapid glucose spikes that linger. Balanced meals with vegetables, protein, and moderate carbs digest more slowly. This reduces nighttime elevations. Again, this is about structure, not deprivation. Hydration adds another layer of support. Water plays a direct role in blood sugar regulation. When blood sugar is high, the kidneys work to remove excess glucose through urine. This process requires water. Dehydration concentrates blood sugar and makes it harder for the kidneys to flush glucose out. Drinking enough water dilutes glucose in the bloodstream and supports kidney function. Hydration also affects circulation. Proper fluid balance helps glucose move from the bloodstream into cells. Dehydration thickens the blood slightly, slowing nutrient delivery. This can worsen glucose control. Drinking water regularly throughout the day supports smooth metabolic flow. Many people confuse thirst with hunger. Mild dehydration can trigger cravings, especially for carbs. Drinking water reduces unnecessary eating. Fewer unnecessary snacks mean fewer glucose spikes. This indirect effect is just as important as the direct one. Water does not lower blood sugar instantly, like medication, but it supports every system involved in glucose control. It helps digestion, it supports kidney function, it improves circulation. Over time, these effects add up. The combination of walking after meals, avoiding heavy late eating, and staying hydrated creates a strong foundation. These habits work quietly in the background. They do not require special foods or strict rules. They fit into daily life. When movement becomes part of the eating routine, glucose has somewhere to go. When meals are timed earlier and kept lighter at night, the body has time to recover. When hydration is consistent, excess sugar is easier to manage. Together, these actions reduce the burden on insulin and protect long-term metabolic health. These strategies also restore confidence. Blood sugar becomes something that responds to simple actions. Control feels achievable. Food no longer feels unpredictable. Each choice supports the next. Walking supports digestion. Lighter dinners support sleep. Hydration supports clearance. Over time, these habits reshape how the body handles glucose. Muscles stay active. Insulin sensitivity improves. Nighttime sugar stabilizes. Morning readings improve. This happens without extreme diets or constant monitoring. The body thrives on rhythm. Eating, moving, resting, and hydrating in balance allows glucose to flow smoothly. Disrupting this rhythm creates stress. Restoring it brings stability. These strategies do not force the body into submission. They cooperate with its design. When meals are followed by movement, sugar is used instead of stored. When nights are lighter, recovery improves. When water intake is steady, systems function efficiently. This is how blood sugar control becomes part of life instead of a constant struggle. Each of these habits supports the others. Walking increases thirst, encouraging hydration. Hydration supports movement. Earlier meals make walking easier. This creates a self-reinforcing cycle. Once established, it requires little effort to maintain. Blood sugar management is not about perfection. It's just about alignment, aligning food timing with movement, aligning meals with the body clock, aligning hydration with metabolic needs. When alignment is restored, stability follows naturally. Staying consistent with daily activity is one of the most reliable ways to support blood sugar control over time, and it goes far beyond walking after meals. The human body was designed to move frequently, not occasionally. When movement becomes part of daily life, muscles remain active and ready to absorb glucose whenever it appears in the bloodstream. This reduces the burden on insulin and lowers overall blood sugar levels throughout the day. Consistency matters more than intensity. Long workouts done once or twice a week cannot replace small movements done every day. Each step, each stretch, and each moment of activity signals the body to keep glucose pathways open. When movement is regular, muscle cells stay sensitive to insulin. When movement is rare, these cells become resistant, even if diet is controlled. Daily movement does not need to follow a strict plan. It can be simple and natural, standing more often, taking stairs, light household tasks, short walks spread across the day. These small actions add up. They prevent long periods of sitting, which is one of the strongest triggers for poor glucose control. Sitting for hours shuts down muscle activity. Glucose has nowhere to go. Blood sugar rises and stays elevated. Breaking sitting time with even brief movement reactivates muscles and restores glucose uptake. This effect happens quickly and does not require exhaustion. Regular activity also improves circulation. Better blood flow allows glucose and insulin to reach cells more efficiently. This reduces delays and spikes. Movement lowers stress hormones, which otherwise raise blood sugar. It improves sleep quality, which directly affects glucose regulation the next day. These effects overlap and reinforce each other. Over time, the body becomes more flexible and resilient. Blood sugar becomes easier to manage even when meals are not perfect. What matters most is repetition. Doing a little every day trains the body to expect movement. This expectation keeps metabolic systems alert and responsive. When activity becomes routine, it no longer feels like effort. It becomes part of normal life. This removes pressure and makes long-term consistency possible. All of the strategies discussed work best when they support each other. Choosing better carbs reduces rapid glucose release. Using the plate shield slows digestion before glucose enters the bloodstream. Eating protein and fat before carbs prepares the body and softens spikes. Adding acidic foods further slows starch breakdown. Using resistant starch changes how carbs are processed. Walking after meals pulls glucose into muscles. Avoiding heavy late dinners prevents prolonged nighttime elevation. Drinking enough water supports kidney function and circulation. Staying active every day keeps glucose pathways open. Each action alone helps, but together they create stability. This is not about doing everything perfectly. It is about creating a system where blood sugar control happens naturally. This approach requires a shift in thinking. It is not a short-term fix. It is not a temporary plan designed to force quick results. It is a lifestyle shift built on understanding how the body works. Blood sugar did not become unstable overnight, and it does not stabilize overnight either. Progress happens gradually. Some people notice changes quickly. Others need more time. Bodies respond differently based on genetics, age, stress, sleep, and health history. Comparing results creates frustration. Consistency creates results. There will be days when blood sugar behaves unpredictably. This does not mean failure. It means the body is responding to many signals at once. Food is only one signal. Sleep, stress, illness, and hormones all play roles. The goal is not perfection. The goal is direction. Moving steadily toward habits that support balance allows the body to adapt. These strategies are meant to fit real life. They allow flexibility, they allow enjoyment of food, they remove fear. Over time, confidence replaces anxiety. Blood sugar becomes something that can be guided, not something that controls daily decisions. When habits are built slowly and repeated consistently, they become automatic. At that point, control feels natural. The body is highly adaptable. When given steady signals of movement, balanced meals, hydration, and timing, it responds by improving efficiency. Insulin works better. Glucose moves smoothly. Energy becomes stable. This process rewards patience. There is no single rule that works for everyone, but there is a pattern that works for most: smarter carbs, structured meals, gentle movement, daily activity. These elements form a foundation that supports long-term health. When this foundation is in place, blood sugar control stops feeling like a battle and starts feeling like balance. Blood sugar control does not change all at once, and it does not require doing everything perfectly. Real change starts with one small decision repeated consistently. Pick just one strategy from this video and try it this week. Maybe it is walking after meals. Maybe it is changing the order of your food. Maybe it is drinking more water or eating a lighter dinner. Small steps create real results when they are repeated. Pay attention to how your body responds and notice what feels easier over time. Share your experience in the comments below, because your story may help someone else who is struggling with the same challenge. If this video helped you see blood sugar in a new way, support the channel by liking this video and sharing it with someone who needs it. And if you want more simple, science-based natural health strategies explained clearly, make sure to subscribe so you do not miss the next video.